Hello, everyone. This is a video on how to support your student in 8th grade science, specifically a guide for parents. Every year, Miss Van Moore and I get questions about how you can support your kid and help your kid in science. And our number one suggestion is get used to helping them in their OneNote. OneNote is a tool that we are going to use all throughout the year. So having you be familiar with it and know how to support your kid in their learning through it is really important. So a student OneNote is where the majority of their science work lives during the year. It's kind of like an online science journal. This is where they have daily assignments. A cool part about OneNote is that they have access to it 24/7. So if your student has to miss school, they can still access the work. And I'll show you how they might do that in a second. Now, a student's OneNote is not graded. You're not going to sign into the source and see grades for individual pages from the OneNote, but it's still important because this is where they practice, where they explore, where they record data, where they do scientific writing, and where they engage with the scientific content. Now, there are a couple of exceptions to the not graded rule, but we make those very clear in class. Now, I know the frustration from parents comes with that we do not give homework usually in science class. But I do want to clarify something, especially around their OneNote. If students are not completing their OneNote classwork in class, because we design every page to be completed in the class time given, but if they do not complete it, it is our expectation that they are completing it outside of school before they return to class. So let me make it clear. We are not going to assign homework to everybody most of the time, but if a kid is not finishing their OneNote pages, that becomes their homework. Now, if you want the quick answer for how to support your kid using OneNote, if a kid is showing you their OneNote, there are two things that you should be looking for. One is you should be looking for if your student has completed their OneNote pages. And two, are they able to talk to you about the science work on those pages? So to give you a little bit of familiarity with OneNote, I am going to stop sharing that screen and share what the OneNote actually looks like. So this is an example of a student's OneNote page. On the left-hand side, you'll see folders for all of the units that we're going to be doing. This will grow over the course of the year. This is a full year's worth of work, but your kid will only start with one folder. If they are to click into a folder, then you're going to start to see pages. We arrange our OneNote by date so that if a student misses the 16th because they are feeling sick, they will know, oh, I have to make up that work at some point in time. There are a couple common pages you're going to see in every single unit. So first is this Lightwave vocab and key concepts. This should grow over the course of a unit as we add vocabulary and main scientific ideas. You're also going to see towards the beginning of a unit an initial ideas page, and this is important. I'll come back to talking about this later. Some other features of this that you might see is 2 pages with the same date, and one is labeled with an MS and one is labeled with a GF. MS pages stand for mainstream and GF pages stand for going further. That is a level of challenge choice that your student gets to make depending on the day or depending on your family's expectations. If you see a one date with 2 different pages, an MS and a GF, your student only has to complete one of those pages. Now let's take a look at one of these students' pages and see if they have any homework this evening. So first thing I'll do is I'll do a quick scroll looking for completion. If it asks for a screenshot, did they include one, or a drawing if their video camera's not working? I might look for some explanation or for some full sentences. And then if a section says mainstream, like this one right here, number 6, and then the following section says going further, students only have to complete one of those sections, either the going further or the mainstream. So I can see that this student here is doing the going further work because 6A is starting to be completed, but 6A, B, C, D up here in the mainstream is not. But I can see just by looking that 6A, 6B, and 7 are incomplete. That means that this student would have homework. And their homework would be completing these questions. It might only take them 5 minutes, but they still do have homework. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share some recommendations for you about if your student has completed pages, how can you continue to support your kid in their scientific learning? So if everything's completed, here are some ways to engage with them with their OneNote. So some OneNote pages will have a link towards a simulation. Those simulations are based on our online platform, and there's one for every single unit. You can have them click into the sim and just show you and explain things to you. The more students have to explain their scientific knowledge, the more understanding that they end up having, and they find holes in their knowledge that they can come back and ask their teachers about. And so having to explain it to someone else helps reinforce their understanding. Then another suggestion is you can open up their vocabulary and key concept OneNote pages, select a key concept from the list, and have them explain it in their own words, and even show you examples from other OneNote pages that supports those scientific ideas. Lastly, you could take a look at the initial ideas OneNote page and ask them that initial ideas question. And you can do this every single week during the unit because their ideas will change the more scientific evidence and knowledge that they gain. So their answer should never be exactly the same. It should become more in-depth, supported by key concepts and evidence and things like that. So those are the ways that we suggest supporting your kid through OneNote in their science learning. Please email me and let me know if you have any questions about the video's content. Thank you.